My child, stop for a moment. Do not rush past this. Do not tell yourself you will come back later. I am speaking to you now because this moment matters more than you realize. I know how easily your fingers move, how quickly your eyes scan, how naturally you scroll when something feels heavy or serious. But hear me, this is not weight meant to burden you. This is truth meant to steady you. This is not fear calling you. This is love, refusing to stay silent. You did not arrive here by chance. You were guided here because something in you is ready, even if another part of you feels tired, unsure, or distracted. I see both parts of you clearly. My child, I have watched you move through your days, carrying more than you speak about. You function, you smile when needed. You do what must be done. But inside, there is a quiet restlessness you have not been able to name. A sense that something is shifting, or should be shifting, yet you cannot fully grasp what it is. That feeling is not weakness. It is awareness, awakening. I have been speaking to you for longer than you realize, through pauses, through discomfort, through moments when something inside you whispered, "Pay attention." You called it overthinking. You called it stress. You told yourself it would pass. But those were not random thoughts. Those were gentle nudges meant to protect you, guide you, and prepare you. Listen to me now with your heart, not just your ears. There are seasons when comfort is a gift, and there are seasons when comfort becomes a hiding place. You have been in a season where familiarity felt safer than movement, even when that familiarity carried pain. I do not condemn you for that. I understand why you learned to survive that way, but survival is not the same as alignment. My child, the reason this moment feels urgent is not because something terrible is about to happen. It is because something important is trying to open, and delay would make it harder to see clearly. Do not misunderstand my urgency. I am not rushing you into fear. I am inviting you into awareness. The world around you is louder than it used to be. Distraction is praised. Stillness is avoided. Noise is constant. And when everything is loud, truth must be sought intentionally, or it will be drowned out. You have felt this, haven't you? That tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. That heaviness that appears even on good days. That sense of being busy but not fulfilled. These are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that something in you is asking to be heard. I am asking you to slow your inner pace just enough to listen. If something in your spirit is resonating right now, pause and type yes in the comments. Not for me, but as a quiet acknowledgement to yourself that you are present in this moment. My child, there were times in the past when I warned you softly. Times when doors closed. Times when plans stalled. Times when something didn't feel right, even though it looked fine on the surface. Those were not punishments. Those were protections. But now, the season has changed. What once could be ignored without much cost, now carries more weight. Not because you are weaker, but because your life, your choices, and your influence are becoming more significant. Awareness matters more now than it did before. I am not here to overwhelm you. I am here to steady you. You may feel resistance rising as you listen, a desire to minimize this moment, a thought that says, "This is too serious," or "I'll deal with this later." That resistance is not from truth. It is fear of change, wearing the mask of comfort. Change does not always mean chaos. Sometimes change simply means clarity. My child, you are not being singled out for trouble. You are being invited into discernment. Many will scroll past moments like this. Many will dismiss inner nudges again and again until confusion becomes familiar. I do not want that for you. That is why I am interrupting you now. If you feel this message touching something deep inside you, type AMEN. Not as a ritual, but as a sign that you are choosing to stay open rather than numb. Hear this clearly. Ignoring truth does not make life fall apart instantly. It simply makes life heavier than it needs to be. Confusion grows where clarity was offered. Questions multiply where direction was available. I do not want you to learn through exhaustion what you could learn through listening. You are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming aware, and awareness is the beginning of peace. Stay with me through this series, my child. Do not treat this as background noise. Each part builds upon the next, gently guiding you into understanding that will help you navigate your own life with more steadiness and less struggle. What comes later will bring deeper clarity, but only if you remain present now. If you believe these words are meant for you, comment, "I receive this," and make a quiet commitment to yourself to watch until the end. This is not entertainment. This is guidance meant to meet you where you are. And before you go, hear this with gentleness. If my words bring you comfort, direction, or peace, if they help you feel less alone, then allow others to find them too. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join this community so you do not miss what comes next. And if you feel moved, if these words have truly helped your heart, you may support this work through Super Thanks, only if it feels right to you. I am not finished speaking to you. What comes next will matter for your clarity, your peace, and the path ahead. Stay with me. My child, remain here with me. Do not let your attention slip away now. This moment is quieter than the last, but it is no less important. I am speaking to you in a tone that does not demand, does not shout, and does not force. I am speaking in the way truth often speaks, steadily, patiently, and clearly. What I am revealing now has been present in your life for a long time, even before you had words for it. I want to talk to you about the signs you nearly dismissed, not the obvious ones, not the moments when everything fell apart, but the subtle feelings you learned to overlook because they didn't seem urgent enough. Those moments when your chest felt heavy for no clear reason. Those times when something felt off, yet nothing looked wrong on the surface. Those inner pauses you overruled because you told yourself you were just tired, overthinking, or being unreasonable. My child, those moments mattered. You live in a world that trains you to value explanation over awareness. If you cannot logically justify a feeling, you are taught to ignore it. So you learn to push past your own signals. You learn to stay functional instead of staying honest. You learn to move forward even when your spirit was asking you to slow down. I do not fault you for this. I understand how you learned it. I saw the pressure that shaped you. But hear me now with clarity and calm. Not everything that guides you speaks loudly. Some of the most important direction arrives quietly, asking to be noticed rather than obeyed automatically. I have been present in those quiet moments, when you felt uneasy without explanation, when you hesitated before making a decision but couldn't explain why, when you felt restless even during times that were supposed to feel settled. Those were not interruptions to your life. They were invitations. Invitations to awareness. Invitations to alignment. Invitations to honesty. But you were tired. Tired of thinking. Tired of adjusting. Tired of carrying responsibility while your own needs waited quietly in the background. So you told yourself you would deal with it later. You convinced yourself it wasn't that serious. You chose familiarity over clarity because familiarity felt manageable. I did not leave you in those moments. I stayed close, even when you could not feel my presence. Now the season has shifted. What could once be postponed gently now asks for attention, not because danger is chasing you, but because growth is calling you. There is a difference. Growth does not threaten you. Growth invites you. You may notice that the same distractions no longer satisfy you the way they used to. The same routines no longer bring rest. The same explanations no longer quiet your questions. This is not failure. This is awakening. Awakening is not dramatic. It is honest. It begins when numbness no longer feels like peace, when busyness no longer feels productive, when you realize that functioning is not the same as living in alignment. You have reached that realization not because you are weak, but because you are ready. My child, peace is not the absence of feeling. Peace is the presence of truth. Numbness feels calm because nothing is touched. Peace feels steady because everything is grounded. You have experienced both, and now your spirit is asking for the latter. I am not asking you to examine every detail of your life at once. I am asking you to notice what you have been avoiding feeling. Stillness may feel uncomfortable at first because it removes the noise you used to hide behind. But stillness is where clarity begins. Clarity does not accuse you. Clarity steadies you. You are never meant to carry everything alone. I am not asking you to abandon responsibility. I am asking you to stop abandoning yourself. Awareness does not weaken you. It strengthens you. When you see clearly, you choose wisely. When you listen honestly, confusion loses its grip. You may feel emotions rising as you hear this. Sadness, relief, resistance, even grief, for moments when you wish you had listened sooner. Do not push those feelings away. Feeling again is not regression. It is life returning to places that went quiet. You are not behind, you are becoming aware. Awareness is not about regret. It is about direction. The past is not being revealed to shame you. It is being revealed to free you from repeating cycles you have already grown tired of carrying. I am not distant from you now. I have never been. The noise around you simply grew louder, and you learned to survive by tuning inward voices out. I am teaching you how to listen again, not in panic, not in urgency, but in truth. Stay present with this process. You do not need all the answers today. You only need willingness. Willingness to pause, willingness to reflect, willingness to stay instead of rushing past what feels uncomfortable. If these words reflect something true in your life, type Amen. And remain with this series until the end. What comes next will help you understand not only what you are feeling, but how to move forward with clarity rather than confusion. I am with you, and I am not finished speaking. My child, stay with me. Do not rush ahead of these words. What I am about to reveal requires honesty, not fear, and presence, not perfection. There is something I want you to understand about familiarity. Familiarity can feel like safety even when it carries pain. You have lived inside certain patterns for so long that they began to feel normal. Not good, not peaceful, but known. And what is known often feels easier than what is true but unfamiliar. I have watched you return to the same emotional places again and again, not because you wanted to suffer, but because suffering you recognize feels less frightening than change you cannot yet imagine. You told yourself, at least I know how to handle this. You learned how to cope, how to endure, how to function within limits that slowly became walls. This is not a judgment. This is an understanding. Many people never realize that familiar pain can quietly become a home. They stay because leaving requires courage, attention, and trust. And trust feels risky when you have been disappointed before. But hear me clearly now, my child. I did not create you to live confined by what you learned to tolerate. I created you for clarity, growth, and alignment. Comfort that dulls your discernment is not rest. Familiarity that keeps you small is not safety. You may have noticed that certain cycles keep returning. The same emotional weight, the same questions, the same inner exhaustion that arrives even when circumstances change. This does not mean you failed to learn. It means the lesson requires a deeper level of awareness now. Earlier in your life, you could repeat cycles and recover quickly. You had time to adjust slowly, but now the weight lingers longer. The confusion feels heavier. The restlessness is harder to ignore. This is not because you are weaker. It is because your life is asking for greater alignment. Alignment requires honesty. There are choices you delayed because they asked you to let go of something familiar. There were moments when you sensed a quiet warning, but reasoned your way past it. You did not do this because you were careless. You did it because you were tired of uncertainty. I saw that tiredness. I stayed with you through it. But now I am asking you not to confuse endurance with obedience. Endurance keeps you surviving. Obedience brings you into peace. I am not speaking of rules. I am speaking of alignment with truth. When you walk aligned with truth, burdens begin to loosen. When you resist truth, burdens multiply, not as punishment, but as consequence. You have already felt this difference. You know what it is like to push forward while feeling disconnected inside. You know what it is like to succeed outwardly while feeling unsettled inwardly. You know what it is like to tell yourself everything is fine while your spirit quietly disagrees. That disagreement is not rebellion. It is wisdom trying to surface. My child, there is a reason certain things no longer bring comfort the way they once did. There is a reason distractions feel less effective. There is a reason silence feels heavier now. These are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs that something is ready to change. Change does not arrive to punish you. Change arrives to position you. But change cannot happen while you cling tightly to what you already know how to endure. Familiar pain whispers, "Stay here, you can manage this." Truth whispers, "You were not meant to manage this forever." I am asking you to listen to the quieter voice. You may fear that letting go will leave you exposed. You may fear that stepping forward will cost you more than staying. But staying has already cost you peace. Staying has already cost you clarity. Staying has already cost you nights of rest and mornings of hope. I do not want you to keep paying that cost. I am not asking you to leap blindly. I am asking you to stop pretending that staying stuck is safer than moving forward. Awareness is the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be. And awareness begins when you stop numbing what you feel. You were taught to be strong by suppressing. I am teaching you to be strong by seeing clearly. Suppression delays healing. Clarity invites it. You do not need to relive the past with regret. The past is being revealed so it no longer controls your future. Patterns lose their power when they are seen honestly. Cycles break when you choose awareness over autopilot. You are not late to this realization. You arrived exactly when your heart was ready to hold it. There is more ahead in this series that will help you understand how to move forward without fear, how to listen without panic, and how to choose differently without shame. What comes next will build on what you are receiving now, so remain present. Watch until the end. These words are not meant to rush you, but they are meant to guide you. If something in your heart recognizes the truth of what I am saying, type peace and stay open. This is not the end of the conversation. It is the beginning of a clearer path. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you. My child, remain still with me for a moment longer. Do not hurry past this point. What I am about to speak is not heavy, but it is exact. There is something you must understand about delay. Delay does not always look like refusal. Often, it disguises itself as patience, logic, or timing. You tell yourself you are waiting for clarity, waiting for strength, waiting for the right moment. And sometimes, waiting is wise. But sometimes, waiting quietly becomes a decision you did not mean to make. I want you to listen carefully now. There were moments when you felt prompted to act, to speak, to release, or to step forward. You sensed it gently, not as pressure, but as a nudge, yet you hesitated. You told yourself you would revisit it later. You convinced yourself it wasn't urgent. Life continued. Responsibilities pulled at you, and the moment passed. That did not make you a failure. It made you human. But understand this. Moments do not repeat in the same way twice. They may return in form, but never with the same lightness. When clarity is delayed, confusion slowly fills the space. Not because I remove guidance, but because the heart grows accustomed to ignoring it. I say this not to accuse you, but to awaken you. Delay feels harmless at first. It gives the illusion of control. It allows you to remain comfortable while convincing yourself you are still open. But over time, delay dulls discernment. What once felt clear begins to feel complicated. What once felt simple begins to feel overwhelming. You have felt this shift. You wondered why decisions started feeling heavier than they used to, why choices drained you instead of energizing you, why clarity felt harder to access even when you prayed or reflected. This is not because I stopped speaking. It is because delay trained your attention elsewhere. My child, awareness is time sensitive. Not because I rush you, but because clarity has a season. When truth rises gently, it is inviting cooperation. When it rises repeatedly, it is asking for a response. You may fear that responding will cost you something, and you are right. It will. It will cost you comfort, familiarity, and excuses. But it will not cost you peace. Peace is what waits on the other side of obedience. I know you value independence. I know you learned to rely on yourself because others disappointed you. I respect that strength. But some seasons require surrender, not because you are weak, but because you are ready to trust beyond survival. Carrying everything alone is not strength when help is offered. Delay often feels safer than action because action exposes you to uncertainty. But uncertainty, guided by truth, is lighter than certainty built on avoidance. You already know the weight of staying where you are. You have carried it long enough to recognize its cost. I am not asking you to make drastic changes in fear. I am asking you to stop postponing honesty. Honesty with yourself. Honesty about what no longer aligns. Honesty about what drains you rather than builds you. Alignment does not demand perfection. It requires presence. Presence means noticing when your spirit tightens. Presence means acknowledging when peace leaves. Presence means admitting when something no longer fits, even if it once did. You are not being punished for past delays. You are being invited into a new level of awareness now. This invitation is not loud. It is steady. It does not threaten you. It guides you. If you ignore it, life does not collapse instantly. But heaviness slowly returns. Confusion settles in quietly. Cycles repeat. Not because fate is cruel, but because lessons were postponed. I do not want you to keep walking paths you already asked to leave behind. You may feel regret rising as you listen. Thoughts of moments you wish you had handled differently. Decisions you wish you had made sooner. Do not let regret turn into shame. Shame paralyzes. Wisdom steadies. The past is not being shown to trap you. It is being revealed to free you from repeating patterns that no longer serve you. You are wiser now than you were then. You have felt the consequences of ignoring your inner knowing. That experience has prepared you to respond differently now. That is why this moment matters. Not because you are behind, but because you are ready. I am not closing doors behind you. I am opening a way forward. But this way requires attention. It requires you to stop telling yourself that later will be easier. Later often carries more weight than now. Now is lighter. Now is clearer. Now still offers choice. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is unfolding intentionally, helping you understand not only what you feel, but how to move forward with wisdom instead of exhaustion. What comes next will bring deeper insight into how to respond without fear and how to walk with clarity in a world that thrives on distraction. If something within you recognizes the truth of these words, type breakthrough and let it mark a quiet decision inside you. Not to rush, not to panic, but to remain aware and willing. I am with you, and I will continue to speak because love does not stay silent when clarity is needed. My child, remain here with me. Let your spirit settle as you listen. What I am sharing now is not meant to alarm you, but to guard you. There is a protection that does not look like walls or shields. It does not announce itself loudly or arrive with force. It comes quietly through awareness. When you are aware, you notice what others overlook. When you are aware, you pause where others rush. When you are aware, you sense when something is not aligned long before it causes harm. This is the protection I am offering you now. Many people believe protection means the absence of difficulty, but protection often means clarity before confusion, wisdom before regret, and discernment before consequences. I do not remove every challenge from your path, but I offer you the awareness to walk through life with fewer unnecessary burdens. You have experienced moments when something didn't feel right, even though nothing appeared wrong. You questioned yourself in those moments. You wondered if you were being overly sensitive or unrealistic. But sensitivity guided by truth is not weakness. It is discernment. You live in a world where distraction is constant and reflection is rare. Noise fills every quiet space. Opinions rush in before wisdom has time to form. In such an environment, awareness becomes essential. Without it, you move quickly but blindly. With it, you move steadily and wisely. I am not calling you to withdraw from the world. I am calling you to move through it consciously. Awareness slows you just enough to see clearly. It allows you to recognize when a decision will cost you peace before the cost is paid. It allows you to notice when compromise disguises itself as convenience. It helps you distinguish between opportunities that build you and ones that drain you. This is not something you must force. Awareness grows when you give yourself permission to pause. You have been trained to fill every moment with activity. Stillness feels unproductive to you. Silence feels uncomfortable. But stillness is not emptiness. It is where truth becomes audible. Silence is not absence. It is space for clarity. You may fear that slowing down will make you fall behind. But rushing has already cost you rest. Hurrying has already blurred your priorities. Moving fast without awareness has left you tired, even when you were doing everything right. I am inviting you to a different pace, a pace where your inner life matters as much as your outer responsibilities, a pace where you notice when your heart tightens and you ask why instead of pushing past it, a pace where decisions are made from alignment, not pressure. This is how awareness protects you. It protects you from entering relationships that look promising but lack depth. It protects you from saying yes when your spirit is asking for no. It protects you from environments that slowly erode your peace while offering surface-level comfort. You do not need to fear making mistakes. Mistakes teach. But awareness reduces the weight of learning through pain when learning through listening is available. I am not warning you because something terrible is imminent. I am preparing you because clarity is available. There is a difference. Preparation is an act of love. There are moments ahead when choices will present themselves quietly. They will not appear dramatic or urgent. They will seem small, reasonable, even harmless. Awareness will help you recognize which choices lead to peace and which lead back into cycles you are ready to leave. Cycles repeat when awareness is absent. Cycles break when awareness is present. You have already felt the exhaustion of repeating the same emotional lessons. You have already prayed for change. Change begins not with force, but with seeing clearly. I am not asking you to mistrust everything. I am asking you to trust your discernment again. Discernment grows when you listen honestly instead of overriding your inner knowing. You may notice that your tolerance for certain things is decreasing. Conversations that once felt acceptable now feel draining. Situations you once endured now feel misaligned. This is not ingratitude. It is growth. Growth refines your awareness. Refinement does not make you harsh. It makes you clear. And clarity brings peace. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is designed to build upon the last, guiding you gently into a way of living that feels lighter, steadier, and more aligned. What comes next will help you understand how to maintain this awareness without becoming anxious or withdrawn. If these words resonate with something deep within you, type 777 as a sign that you are choosing awareness over autopilot and clarity over confusion. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you because awareness is not a burden. It is a gift meant to protect your peace. My child, stay close. Do not pull away from this moment. What I am speaking now may feel subtle, but it carries movement. There is a moment in every awakening when truth stops feeling like information and begins to feel like rearrangement. You are entering that moment now. This is when awareness no longer sits quietly in the background, but gently starts shifting how you see, choose, and respond. This is not chaos. This is alignment beginning to take form. You may notice that certain thoughts no longer settle the way they used to. Explanations that once satisfied you now feel incomplete. Answers you once accepted now leave you restless. This is not confusion increasing. It is discernment sharpening. Truth does not always add more to your life. Often, it removes what no longer fits. You may feel slightly unsettled as this happens, not because something is wrong, but because rearrangement always brings a moment of uncertainty. When old patterns loosen their grip, the space they leave behind can feel unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It means new ground is being prepared. I want you to understand this clearly. When truth enters your awareness, it does not rush you, but it does require honesty. Honesty about what drains you. Honesty about what you tolerate. Honesty about what you keep returning to, even though it cost you peace. You have been strong for a long time. Strong enough to carry things you should not have had to carry alone. Strong enough to adapt when clarity was missing. Strong enough to keep going when answers were unclear. But strength without alignment becomes exhaustion. That is why I am rearranging you gently now. You may feel drawn to pause more often, to question choices you once made automatically, to step back from situations you once rushed into. This is not withdrawal. It is awareness recalibrating your pace. You are learning to listen before responding, to notice before committing, to feel before deciding. This is wisdom forming. Do not be afraid if some relationships, habits, or expectations feel different now. Growth does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it simply changes what you can no longer ignore. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming discerning. There will be moments when you feel tempted to return to old patterns because they feel easier. Familiarity will whisper that you are overthinking, that change is unnecessary, that you should not disrupt what is working. But working is not the same as aligning. Alignment brings peace, even when it requires adjustment. I am not asking you to confront everything at once. I am asking you to notice what consistently pulls you away from clarity. Notice what leaves you drained instead of strengthened. Notice what demands your energy without nourishing your spirit. These observations are not meant to judge you. They are meant to guide you. My child, truth does not shame. It steadies. It does not accuse. It illuminates. When something is brought into the light, it loses its quiet power over you. You may feel emotions rising as these realizations come. Relief, grief, resistance, even a quiet sadness for time spent disconnected from your own needs. Let those emotions surface. They are part of healing. Healing does not mean erasing the past. It means learning from it without carrying its weight forward. You are not being asked to abandon who you were. You are being invited to integrate what you have learned. Integration is where growth becomes peace. As truth rearranges you, you may notice a stronger desire for authenticity. You may feel less willing to perform, pretend, or overextend yourself. This is not selfishness. It is self-respect forming under guidance. You were never meant to live disconnected from your inner truth. You are meant to walk with awareness that supports you, not pressures you. The world often rewards speed, appearance, and noise, but your soul responds to depth, honesty, and stillness. I am teaching you how to honor that without withdrawing from life. This balance takes practice. There will be moments when you question yourself, moments when clarity feels fragile, moments when you wonder if it would be easier to go back to autopilot. In those moments, remember how heavy autopilot felt. Remember how often you asked for change. You asked for clarity. You asked for peace. You asked for direction. This rearrangement is part of the answer. Stay with this process. Stay with this series. What comes next will help you understand how to trust this new clarity without fear, and how to walk forward without losing compassion for yourself or others. If something within you recognizes that truth is beginning to shift you from the inside, type 999 as a sign that you are allowing alignment to form rather than resisting it. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as truth reshapes your path with gentleness and purpose. My child, stay here with me a little longer. Do not rush away from this space. What I am about to speak cannot be heard through constant motion. There comes a moment in your life when noise stops helping and stillness begins to speak. You are entering that moment now. For a long time, you learned how to stay busy so you would not have to sit with unanswered questions. You learned how to fill silence because silence felt uncertain, even uncomfortable. Movement became your refuge. Distraction became your coping. But now, stillness is calling you back, not to isolate you, not to take anything from you, but to return you to yourself. You may have noticed that constant noise no longer soothes you the way it once did. The endless scrolling, the background sounds, the constant conversations meant to fill space, none of them bring the rest they used to promise. Instead, they leave you feeling more scattered, more tired, more disconnected. That is not dissatisfaction. That is depth awakening. Your soul is asking for room to breathe. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means being present enough to notice what has been asking for your attention all along. When you slow your inner pace, you begin to recognize what truly matters and what has only been demanding your energy without giving anything back. I know stillness has frightened you before. You worried that if you stopped moving, everything would collapse. You feared that if you sat quietly, emotions would surface that you were not ready to face. But hear me clearly now. What you avoid in stillness does not disappear. It simply waits, and waiting often makes it heavier. Stillness is not your enemy. It is your doorway. When you allow stillness, you give clarity permission to rise. You begin to see which thoughts are rooted in truth and which are rooted in fear. You start to notice how often you have been responding to pressure instead of guidance, reacting instead of choosing. This awareness is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to free you. I will never reveal something to you and then leave you alone with it. I reveal truth so I can walk with you through it. Nothing that rises in stillness is beyond your capacity to face. You are stronger than you realize, not because you endure everything, but because you are learning to listen. You may feel resistance even now, a quiet voice telling you that you cannot afford to slow down. A reminder of responsibilities, expectations, and obligations pulling at your attention. Responsibility has its place, but responsibility without reflection becomes burden. I am not asking you to abandon your life. I am asking you to live it consciously. Stillness teaches you how to respond instead of react. It gives you space to choose rather than comply automatically. It reminds you that you are not defined by urgency, productivity, or approval. You were never created to live constantly, hurried. When you remain in motion without reflection, you lose touch with your inner direction. When you pause, you remember who you are and where you are going. Stillness reconnects you with that memory. You may notice your tolerance for noise changing. You may feel drawn to quieter moments, simpler rhythms, and deeper conversations. This is not withdrawal from life. It is refinement of your attention. Attention is sacred. Where you place your attention shapes your days. When attention is scattered, life feels fragmented. When attention is focused, life begins to feel intentional. I am teaching you to protect your attention because not everything deserves access to your thoughts, your emotions, or your energy. Not every demand requires an immediate response. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. Not every voice deserves authority in your life. Discernment grows in stillness because stillness allows you to listen before deciding. This is how peace begins to form, not by controlling everything, but by aligning with what truly matters. Peace is not found in doing more. Peace is found in listening better. You may experience discomfort as you practice stillness. That discomfort is simply your mind adjusting to quiet. Do not confuse discomfort with danger. It will soften as clarity settles in. Be patient with yourself. You have lived a long time surrounded by noise. Learning stillness is a process, not a demand. Each moment you choose presence over distraction, you strengthen your connection to truth. And truth will never rush you. It will steady you. My child, if these words are helping you slow down, breathe deeper, or see more clearly, if you feel even a small sense of peace rising, then allow others to find this guidance too. Like this message, subscribe to the channel, and join this community so you can continue walking through these moments of clarity together. And if my words have genuinely lifted your heart or helped you feel less alone, you may support this work through Super Thanks, only if you feel happy and moved to do so. Stay with this series until the end. Each part is unfolding with purpose, meant to help you carry this stillness into your everyday life without losing balance, strength, or direction. What comes next will help you understand how to live aware without becoming withdrawn, and how to stay grounded in a noisy world. If your heart recognizes the value of stillness and presence right now, type calm as a quiet sign that you are choosing awareness over noise and intention over distraction. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you, because when you become still, my voice becomes clear. My child, stay present with me. Do not rush to interpret these words. Let them settle where they are meant to land. There comes a moment in your growth when you realize how much energy you have spent explaining yourself to things that never truly listened. You justified your needs. You defended your boundaries. You softened your truth so it would be easier for others to accept. You learned to translate your inner knowing into language that would not disturb the balance around you. But balance built on self-erasure is not peace. I have watched you do this quietly. You told yourself it was maturity. You called it patience. You believed it was kindness. And sometimes it was. But often, it was fear of disruption. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of losing connection. My child, not every connection is meant to be preserved at the cost of your clarity. You were never asked to abandon compassion. You were never asked to become rigid or cold. But there is a difference between kindness and self-neglect. When you constantly explain yourself to what drains you, you teach it that your energy is endlessly available, even when your peace is not. This is where awareness becomes discernment. You may notice now that certain conversations leave you tired, certain expectations feel heavy, certain dynamics require you to shrink, adjust, or perform. You leave those spaces feeling disconnected from yourself, even if nothing outwardly went wrong. Pay attention to that. Your body and spirit often speak before your mind catches up. Fatigue is not always physical. Sometimes it is the cost of staying where you no longer belong. I am not asking you to cut people off impulsively. I am asking you to stop explaining what your peace already knows. Truth does not need constant defense. Alignment does not require endless justification. You are allowed to choose simplicity over explanation. There will be moments when you feel the urge to over-explain, to prove that your needs are reasonable, to justify why you feel the way you feel. That urge often comes from past experiences where your truth was dismissed or misunderstood. You learn to protect yourself by clarifying everything. But clarity does not come from convincing others. Clarity comes from honoring yourself. As you grow, you will feel less compelled to argue with what does not align. You will recognize that silence can be a response. Distance can be wisdom, and choosing not to engage can be an act of self-respect. This does not make you uncaring. It makes you clear. You may worry that stepping back will make you seem distant or unkind, but kindness that costs you your peace repeatedly is not sustainable. Love does not require you to betray your own truth. I am teaching you that boundaries are not barriers. They are guides. They show others how to meet you without diminishing you, and they protect you from giving more than you are meant to give. You have already given generously. You have already tried explaining patiently. You have already adjusted repeatedly. Now it is time to listen to what your exhaustion has been telling you. Exhaustion is not always a sign to push harder. Often, it is a signal to choose differently. You are not obligated to stay in spaces that require you to silence your inner voice. You are not required to maintain patterns that leave you drained. You are allowed to grow beyond what once felt familiar. Growth will ask you to disappoint some expectations. That discomfort does not mean you are wrong. It means you are changing. I am not asking you to become detached from life. I am asking you to become attached to truth. When you do, your energy will naturally flow toward what nourishes you rather than what depletes you. You will begin to notice how peace feels in your body, how clarity steadies your thoughts, how alignment brings quiet confidence without the need for validation. This is not arrogance. It is groundedness. You may still feel moments of guilt when you choose yourself. That guilt is not from truth. It is from old conditioning that taught you your worth was tied to how much you gave, how much you endured, how much you explained. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to justify boundaries. You do not need permission to grow. I am guiding you toward a life where your yes is intentional and your no is respected by you first. When you respect your own limits, others learn how to meet you more honestly. Some will adjust, some will drift. Both outcomes bring clarity. Clarity is not loss. It is alignment. As you move forward, you will feel lighter not because life is easier, but because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to hold. This lightness is not escape. It is truth settling in. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is helping you release what drains you and strengthen what grounds you. What comes next will help you understand how to remain compassionate without losing yourself, and how to stay open without becoming exposed. If something in you recognizes that it is time to stop explaining yourself to what drains you, type release and let it mark a quiet shift toward clarity and self-respect. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as you learn to choose peace without apology. My child, stay with me. Do not let these words pass by lightly. What I am speaking now is simple, but it carries weight. There comes a moment when you begin to understand that peace does not happen by accident. It is not something you stumble upon when life finally becomes easy. Peace is not the reward for perfect circumstances. Peace is the result of intentional choice. You are arriving at that understanding now. For a long time, you waited for things to settle before you allowed yourself to rest. You told yourself you would feel peaceful when problems were resolved, when answers were clear, when responsibilities were lighter. But the waiting never ended, because life kept asking more of you, and so peace felt distant. But hear me clearly, my child. Peace does not wait for everything to be fixed. Peace begins when you choose alignment, even while things are unfinished. You have learned this slowly, through weariness, through moments when you realized that holding everything together was costing you more than it was giving, through nights when your mind stayed busy long after your body was tired, through days when you did everything right and still felt unsettled. Those moments were not failures. They were invitations to choose differently. Peace requires you to decide what you will no longer carry. It asks you to release the belief that you must solve everything at once. It invites you to trust that clarity comes through presence, not pressure. You may notice now that you are more sensitive to misalignment. Things that once felt tolerable now feel heavy more quickly. You sense when a situation pulls you out of yourself. You recognize when your energy is being scattered instead of strengthened. This sensitivity is not fragility. It is wisdom forming. Wisdom does not shout. It whispers. It nudges. It asks you to pause before saying yes. It asks you to listen before reacting. It invites you to choose peace even when tension feels familiar. But choosing peace is not always comfortable. Sometimes it means stepping back when you are expected to step in. Sometimes it means letting silence replace explanation. Sometimes it means disappointing expectations that were never aligned with your truth. I know that discomfort unsettles you. You were taught to equate peace with harmony and harmony with approval, but harmony built on self-betrayal is not peace. It is avoidance. Peace may temporarily disrupt the surface, but it steadies the foundation. You are learning that you cannot control how others respond when you choose alignment. You can only control how honestly you live. That realization may feel heavy at first, but it becomes freeing once you accept it. You were never meant to manage everyone's expectations. You were meant to steward your inner life. Peace requires you to listen to your limits. It requires you to respect your capacity. It asks you to stop glorifying exhaustion as dedication. It invites you to rest without guilt and move forward without fear. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. When you choose peace, you choose clarity over chaos. You choose depth over noise. You choose truth over convenience. These choices may seem small in the moment, but they shape the direction of your days. You may still feel pulled toward old habits, old ways of reacting, old patterns of overextending. That pull does not mean you are failing. It means you are practicing. Practice requires patience. Be gentle with yourself as you learn. You are unlearning patterns that once helped you survive. They do not disappear overnight. But each time you choose peace, you weaken their grip. Each time you pause, instead of pushing, you strengthen your awareness. Peace grows through repetition. You may wonder if choosing peace will make you miss opportunities or fall behind. But what you gain in clarity will outweigh what you release in urgency. Peace sharpens your discernment. It helps you recognize which opportunities align and which distract. Not every open door is meant to be entered. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. Peace teaches you how to discern the difference. I am not calling you to withdraw from responsibility. I am calling you to carry responsibility with wisdom rather than strain. You can be committed without being consumed. You can care deeply without losing yourself. This balance is learned, not demanded. As you move forward, there will be moments when choosing peace feels unfamiliar. You may question yourself. You may feel tempted to return to old ways because they feel known. When that happens, remember how heavy those ways became. Remember how often you asked for relief. Remember how often you longed for clarity. Peace is not something you wait for. Peace is something you practice. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is guiding you toward a way of living that feels grounded instead of rushed, intentional instead of reactive. What comes next will help you understand how to protect this peace without closing your heart. If something in you is ready to choose peace more intentionally, type choice and let it mark a quiet commitment to alignment over exhaustion. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as you learn that peace grows where truth is honored. My child, stay with me here. This is not a moment to skim. This is a moment to soften. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that holding on has required more effort than letting go ever would. You have been gripping things tightly. Plans, expectations, roles, versions of yourself that once felt necessary. You held them because they gave you a sense of control. You told yourself that if you released them, everything might fall apart. But hear me now with gentleness and truth. Not everything you are holding is meant to be carried forward. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is not losing faith. Letting go is trust taking form. You have been afraid that if you loosen your grip, you will lose stability. But stability built on fear is fragile. Stability built on truth is steady. I am inviting you into the second kind, There are attachments in your life that once served you. They helped you survive. They helped you adapt. They helped you feel safe in seasons when clarity was limited. But survival tools are not always meant to become lifelong companions. You are no longer in the same place you were then. You have grown. You have learned. You have become aware. What once protected you may now be restricting you. Letting go does not happen all at once. It happens in layers. First, you notice the weight. Then you question why you are still carrying it. Then you consider the possibility that you don't have to anymore. Each step requires courage, not force. I know you fear regret. You fear that releasing something will prove that your effort was wasted. But nothing you carried with honesty was wasted. Every season taught you something. Every attachment showed you what you needed at the time. Gratitude does not require permanence. You can honor what was without clinging to it. My child, trust does not mean you understand everything before you move. Trust means you take the next honest step even when the full path is not visible. I do not ask you to leap into the unknown. I ask you to loosen your grip on what you already know is heavy. You have felt the tension in your body. You have felt the resistance in your spirit. You have felt the quiet exhaustion of maintaining what no longer aligns. These are not signs of failure. They are signals of readiness. Letting go will feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will search for familiar ground. It will question whether you are making a mistake. It will remind you of what you risk losing. But your spirit will feel lighter even as your mind hesitates. Pay attention to that contrast. Peace often arrives quietly before certainty does. You do not need permission from others to release what is no longer right for you. You do not need approval to grow. Growth rarely asks for consensus. It asks for honesty. As you loosen your grip, you will notice something unexpected. Space. Space where tension once lived. Space where creativity can return. Space where clarity can breathe. This space is not emptiness, it is possibility. Possibility is where faith becomes active. I am not asking you to abandon responsibility. I am asking you to release the illusion that everything depends on you. You were never meant to carry the entire weight of outcomes. You were meant to walk faithfully, not flawlessly. When you let go, you make room for guidance. When you trust, you allow alignment to replace strain. This is how peace deepens, not by controlling life, but by walking with truth. You may worry that letting go will distance you from people or paths you once valued. Some distance may happen, not as loss, but as clarity. What remains will meet you more honestly. What fades was not meant to grow with you. This is not rejection. This is refinement. Refinement is gentle but firm. It keeps what strengthens and releases what weakens. You are learning to trust this process, not because it is easy, but because you are tired of carrying what you were never meant to hold forever. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the very end. Each part has been building toward this understanding, helping you live with less strain and more alignment. What comes next will help you learn how to move forward after letting go, without fear and without looking back in regret. And if these words are helping you breathe easier, think clearer, or feel less alone, if you feel encouraged by this guidance, then let others find it too. Like this message, subscribe to the channel, and join this community so you can continue this journey together. And if you feel happy and supported by these words, you may offer super thanks as a way of supporting this work, only if it feels right in your heart. If you feel ready to trust the process of letting go and stepping forward with faith, trust and let it mark a quiet release within you. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as you learn that letting go is not loss. It is alignment unfolding. My child, remain with me. Breathe slowly as you listen. What I am about to say is meant to relieve you, not pressure you. There has been a misunderstanding that quietly shaped the way you approach faith, growth, and even yourself. You were taught, sometimes without words, that obedience meant getting everything right. That listening meant never hesitating. That alignment meant certainty, confidence, and flawless follow-through. That belief has tired you. I want to set this gently in its proper place. Obedience is not perfection. Obedience is attention. It is the willingness to listen honestly and respond sincerely, even when you feel unsure. It is not about executing every step without error. It is about staying open when guidance comes and humble when correction follows. You have been harder on yourself than I ever asked you to be. You judged your pauses as failures. You saw your questions as weaknesses. You mistook your humanity for resistance. But hear me clearly now. Questioning does not disqualify you. It refines you. Pausing does not mean you are disobedient. It often means you are listening more carefully. Obedience begins long before action. It begins with awareness. When you notice a nudge and acknowledge it, even if you do not act immediately, you are already responding. When you feel conviction and sit with it rather than dismissing it, you are listening. When you recognize misalignment and admit it honestly, you are obeying truth. I am not asking you to move faster. I am asking you to listen deeper. You have learned to associate obedience with fear. Fear of getting it wrong. Fear of disappointing. Fear of missing something important. But fear is not the voice that guides you. Fear rushes. Fear condemns. Fear demands certainty before peace is available. My guidance steadies you. It invites you. It waits with you. There will be moments when you take steps that feel hesitant. There will be times when you misunderstand and have to adjust. This does not undo your obedience. It proves your willingness. Growth is rarely linear. Alignment deepens through correction, not avoidance. You are allowed to learn as you go. I see how often you replay decisions in your mind, wondering if you listened correctly. I see how you question whether you did enough, trusted enough, surrendered enough. That constant self-evaluation is not from me. It comes from a belief that you must earn clarity through effort. Clarity is not earned. Clarity is received. It comes when you stay attentive. It grows when you remain honest. It strengthens when you choose humility over performance. Obedience is not about impressing me. It is about walking with me. Walking implies movement together, not flawless execution alone. You may have noticed that when you stop striving to be perfect, listening becomes easier. Pressure quiets. Awareness sharpens. You begin to sense guidance, not as commands, but as invitations toward peace. This is how obedience matures. You do not need to force alignment. You need to remain present. Presence allows you to notice when something shifts. It helps you recognize when to adjust without shame. It teaches you to respond with grace rather than panic. I am not measuring you by outcomes. I am guiding you through process. Process includes learning. Process includes mistakes. Process includes growth that unfolds gradually. You are not behind because you are learning in real time. You are not failing because you are still asking honest questions. Honesty keeps you close to truth. There will be times when obedience means waiting. Waiting without clarity. Waiting without reassurance. Waiting without immediate reward. That waiting is not inactivity. It is trust forming quietly. Trust grows when you stop demanding certainty and start honoring direction as it comes. You may feel tempted to compare your path with others. You may wonder why their steps seem clearer, their confidence stronger. But paths are shaped by capacity, timing, and purpose. What you are learning now is preparing you for what you will carry later. Your pace is intentional. I am not rushing you because rushing would distort your discernment. I am not withholding clarity because clarity is unfolding as you remain attentive. The more you listen without pressure, the more natural obedience becomes. Obedience feels lighter when it is rooted in relationship rather than fear. As you continue, you will notice that your responses become simpler. You will not overthink every nudge. You will not second-guess every pause. You will trust that guidance can be gentle and still be true. This is maturity taking shape. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is strengthening your ability to listen without anxiety and move without striving. What comes next will help you understand how to remain obedient without losing your joy. If something in you feels relieved by the truth that obedience is listening, not perfection, type surrender, and let it mark a quiet release of pressure you were never meant to carry. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as you learn to walk with truth, gently and faithfully. My child, remain with me in this space. Let these words move slowly through you. What I am offering now is steadiness for the days when answers feel incomplete. There will be moments in your life when clarity arrives quickly, and there will be seasons when it unfolds slowly. You have learned to navigate both, but the slower seasons have tested you more deeply. In those seasons, trust is not built on certainty. It is built on endurance. You are learning that kind of trust now. Trust that does not disappear when outcomes are unclear. Trust that does not demand immediate reassurance. Trust that stays even when the path ahead feels unfinished. This is not blind faith. This is grounded faith. Uncertainty often unsettles you because it leaves space for imagination, and imagination can wander toward fear. You start filling gaps with assumptions. You replay conversations. You analyze decisions. You wonder if you missed something important. But hear me clearly, my child. Uncertainty does not mean you are off course. It often means you are between steps. Between steps is where trust is refined. When you do not have all the information, you learn to rely on alignment rather than control. You begin to notice how peace feels in your body instead of searching endlessly for proof. Peace is quieter than certainty, but it is more reliable. You have already noticed this difference. There were times when you felt confident but restless, and there were times when you felt unsure but calm. Calmness in uncertainty is a sign of trust taking root. I am teaching you to recognize that calm. Trust does not remove questions. It keeps questions from ruling you. You are allowed to wonder without worrying. You are allowed to pause without panicking. You are allowed to wait without assuming something is wrong. Waiting does not mean stagnation. Waiting often means strengthening. During uncertain seasons, your attention matters more than your answers. Where you place your focus shapes your experience. When you fixate on what you do not know, anxiety grows. When you return to what you do know, your values, your boundaries, your sense of peace, stability returns. You know more than you think you do. You know what drains you. You know what nourishes you. You know what feels aligned and what does not. These truths remain steady, even when circumstances shift. You may feel tempted to rush decisions just to escape uncertainty. But rushing rarely brings peace. It simply replaces one unknown with another. Trust invites you to move when clarity arrives, not when fear demands action. This restraint is not weakness, it is wisdom. I am not withholding direction from you. I am allowing your discernment to mature. Discernment grows when you learn to sit with unanswered questions without letting them disturb your inner balance. Balance is learned through practice. You may notice that you are becoming less reactive. Situations that once sent your thoughts racing now pass more quietly. You still care, but you do not spiral. This is not indifference. It is stability forming. Stability allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. There will still be days when uncertainty feels heavy. Do not judge yourself in those moments. Acknowledge the feeling, then return to presence. Presence anchors you when outcomes are unclear. Presence reminds you that you are not facing the future alone. It reminds you that guidance does not disappear simply because answers are delayed. Trust is not built in moments of certainty. Trust is built in moments of choice. Each time you choose to stay grounded instead of anxious, you strengthen trust. Each time you return to stillness instead of distraction, trust deepens. Each time you act from alignment rather than urgency, trust becomes more natural. You are practicing this, even when it feels imperfect. There will be moments when you doubt your ability to trust. That doubt does not undo your progress. It simply invites you to return to what steadies you. Trust is not fragile. It grows resilient through repetition. I am not asking you to eliminate uncertainty. I am asking you to outlast it, to remain present until clarity arrives in its time, to resist the urge to force answers that are still forming. Formation takes patience. As you continue through this series, you will notice that your tolerance for uncertainty increases, not because you care less, but because you trust more. You will learn how to move forward gently, carrying questions without letting them weigh you down. This is how peace becomes sustainable. Stay with this journey, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is strengthening your ability to trust without needing everything resolved. What comes next will help you understand how to move when clarity finally arrives, and how to recognize it without doubt. If something in you feels steady, even while answers remain unfinished, type steadfast and let it mark your willingness to trust through uncertainty. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as trust learns to stand firm, even when the path is still unfolding. My child, stay with me a little longer. Let these words settle without hurry. What I am revealing now will strengthen you quietly. There comes a moment when the voices around you begin to lose their authority over the voice within you. Not because you stop caring what others think, but because you finally recognize which voice has been guiding you all along. You are entering that moment now. For much of your life, you listened outward first. You measured yourself by reactions, expectations, and responses. You learned to adjust quickly, to read the room, to anticipate needs, to avoid conflict. This helped you survive. It helped you belong. But it also taught you to doubt your own knowing. I saw you question yourself even when your inner sense was clear. I saw you hesitate even when peace was present. I saw you trade certainty inside for approval outside. You did not do this because you were weak. You did this because you wanted connection. But connection that costs you your inner truth eventually leaves you feeling divided. Part of you complies, while another part grows quiet and tired. Over time, that quiet part begins to ache, not for attention, but for recognition. That is what is changing now. Your inner voice is becoming steadier, not louder, not aggressive, just clearer. It no longer needs to compete with every opinion. It no longer rises in panic when questioned. It waits, it listens, it responds with calm conviction. This is discernment maturing. You may notice that advice affects you differently now. You still listen, you still consider, but you no longer absorb everything automatically. You weigh words against alignment. You check whether suggestions bring peace or pressure. You trust how guidance feels, not just how it sounds. This shift may surprise you. You may wonder why you feel less reactive, why criticism doesn't sting the same way, why praise no longer defines you. This is not detachment, it is grounding. Grounded people are not unmoved, they are anchored. Anchored people do not need constant reassurance. They do not argue for their worth. They do not explain themselves endlessly. They know where they stand because they have learned how to listen inwardly. I am teaching you this skill now, not so you can isolate yourself, not so you can reject others, but so you can engage without losing yourself. There will still be moments when outside opinions feel persuasive. That does not undo your growth. It simply invites you to return inward and ask, does this align with what I know to be true? That question is powerful. It slows you down just enough to choose wisely. You are learning that clarity does not shout. It confirms. As your inner voice steadies, you may feel less urgency to convince others. You may notice a growing comfort with silence. You may find that your responses become simpler, more direct, more honest. This is not indifference. It is confidence rooted in truth. Confidence does not demand agreement. It remains calm without it. I know this change may feel unfamiliar. You may fear that trusting yourself will lead to mistakes. But you have already learned through experience. You have felt the cost of ignoring your inner knowing. That memory now serves you, not to shame you, but to guide you. You are not starting from nothing. You are building on wisdom earned. Your inner voice has been shaped by reflection, correction, patience, and practice. It is not impulsive. It is not reckless. It has been refined through stillness and honesty. That is why it feels steadier now. As you continue, you will notice that your decisions carry less internal conflict. Even when outcomes are uncertain, your direction feels clear. That clarity does not come from knowing everything. It comes from trusting what aligns. Alignment simplifies choices. You may also notice that some people respond differently to you. Not because you changed who you are, but because you are no longer available for confusion. Some will respect this. Some will resist it. Both responses reveal truth. Truth is not something you force. It is something you live. I am not asking you to harden your heart. I am asking you to strengthen your center. When your center is strong, compassion flows more freely because it is not entangled with fear. Fear seeks approval. Truth stands quietly. You are learning to stand. There will be moments when you question yourself again. Growth is not a straight line. When that happens, do not panic. Return to stillness. Listen. Your inner voice will meet you there, steady as ever. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is building your ability to live with clarity, without losing humility, confidence, without rigidity. What comes next will help you understand how to act from this inner steadiness when life asks you to move. If something within you recognizes that your inner voice is becoming more grounded and trustworthy, type Anchor and let it mark your growing steadiness. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as your inner voice becomes a place of rest rather than doubt. My child, stay with me. Do not rush your understanding of this moment. What I am revealing now will feel gentle, but it will change the way you live. There comes a season when life begins to simplify. Not because responsibilities disappear, but because alignment starts to guide your choices. You are entering that season now. You may not recognize it fully yet, but you can feel it. Things that once felt complicated are becoming clearer. Decisions that once felt heavy are beginning to sort themselves. This is not coincidence. This is alignment at work. Alignment does not remove effort, but it removes confusion. It teaches you what deserves your energy and what no longer does. It helps you recognize the difference between what is urgent and what is important. When you walk aligned, you stop trying to manage everything at once. You choose intentionally. For a long time, your life felt crowded. Crowded with expectations. Crowded with options. Crowded with voices telling you who you should be and what you should prioritize. You tried to meet them all. You tried to hold everything together. And slowly, that crowding created exhaustion. Alignment begins by creating space. Space in your mind where clarity can settle. Space in your heart where peace can grow. Space in your life where what matters most can rise. You may notice that you are less interested in overcomplicating things. You no longer feel the need to explain every decision. You trust yourself enough to choose what feels right without constant justification. This is not carelessness. It is wisdom reducing noise. Simplicity is not lack. Simplicity is focus. When you align with truth, your priorities rearrange naturally. You stop chasing what drains you. You stop maintaining what requires constant effort just to survive. You begin investing in what strengthens you, even if it grows more slowly. This shift may surprise you. You may wonder why you feel calmer, even though your life is still full. Why you feel steadier, even though not everything is resolved. The answer is alignment. Alignment does not eliminate uncertainty. It changes how much power uncertainty has over you. Aligned people still face challenges. They just face them without inner chaos. You are learning to say no without guilt and yes without pressure. You are learning to rest without apology and work without resentment. You are learning to choose depth over excess. These are not small changes. They are foundational. As alignment simplifies your life, some things will naturally fall away. Obligations that were never truly yours. Expectations that were built on misunderstanding. Habits that once helped you cope, but now hold you back. This release is not loss. It is refinement. Refinement feels quieter than transformation, but it lasts longer. You may feel moments of discomfort as simplicity settles in. Your mind may search for old complexity because it is familiar, but familiarity is not the same as alignment. Give yourself time to adjust to peace. Peace can feel unfamiliar when you have lived in tension for too long. Do not rush to fill space just because it feels new. Stillness will teach you what belongs there. Alignment also changes how you relate to others. You listen more clearly. You respond more thoughtfully. You stop engaging in unnecessary conflict because you no longer need to prove yourself. Your presence becomes calmer, and that calm influences your surroundings. This is leadership without force. This is strength without noise. I am not making your life smaller. I am making it truer. When life is true, it feels lighter even when it is full. When life is aligned, effort feels meaningful instead of draining. You may notice that your days feel more intentional, that you move from one thing to the next with awareness rather than urgency, that you no longer feel pulled in every direction. This is not because you have fewer options, but because you have clearer values. Values guide decisions quietly. I am teaching you to live from those values rather than from fear or expectation. This does not make life perfect. It makes life honest. And honesty brings peace. There will still be moments when complexity returns. Do not see that as failure. Alignment is practiced daily. Each choice reinforces it. Each pause protects it. Each honest decision strengthens it. You are learning. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is shaping a way of living that feels simpler without being shallow, quieter without being empty. What comes next will help you understand how to protect this alignment when life becomes demanding again. If something in you recognizes that alignment is simplifying your life and easing your spirit, type clear and let it mark your growing focus and peace. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as alignment turns complexity into clarity. My child, stay with me. Let these words settle without resistance. What I am revealing now is the quiet evidence of the work already happening within you. There comes a moment when the inner shifts you have been making begin to show themselves outwardly, not in dramatic ways, not all at once, but gently, steadily, unmistakably. Your life starts to reflect the order forming inside you. This is not perfection. This is alignment expressing itself. You may notice that your days feel less chaotic even when they are full. Your thoughts feel less scattered even when decisions are required. Your emotions feel more honest, more grounded, less extreme. This is not because life suddenly became easier. It is because you are becoming clearer. Inner order always reveals itself outwardly. For a long time, your inner world was crowded. Competing priorities, unresolved emotions, constant self-questioning. You learned how to function in that crowding, but it cost you peace. Now, as awareness has grown, that inner space has been rearranged. What once fought for attention has begun to settle into its proper place. This inner order is not rigid, it is responsive. It allows you to move with life instead of against it. You may find that your routines are changing naturally, not because you forced discipline, but because clarity shaped your choices. You wake with more intention. You move through your day with less resistance. You end your day with fewer unanswered questions looping in your mind. These are signs of alignment taking root. When your inner world becomes ordered, your outer light follows. Conversations become clearer because you know what you stand for. Decisions become simpler because your values are defined. Boundaries become easier because you respect your own limits. You are no longer negotiating with confusion. This does not mean everything feels calm all the time. It means you know how to return to calm when disruption arises. You do not panic as quickly. You do not spiral as deeply. You recognize when something is temporary rather than assuming it is permanent. Perspective grows where order exists. You may notice that you are less reactive to situations that once unsettled you, not because you care less, but because you see more clearly. You understand that not every disruption requires a response. Not every emotion requires immediate action. Not every thought deserves authority. This discernment is not detachment. It is maturity. Your relationships may feel different now. Healthier ones deepen. Strained ones reveal themselves honestly. Some dynamics soften because you are no longer bringing inner chaos into them. Others shift because clarity changes what you tolerate. This is not loss. This is truth aligning your life. You may feel moments of grief for the version of yourself that lived in constant disorder. Not because that version was wrong, but because it carried more than it should have. Honor that version. It did its best with what it knew, and then let it rest. You are living differently now. Inner order also changes how you approach challenges. You no longer face them with frantic energy. You assess. You pause. You respond thoughtfully. Even when outcomes are uncertain, your posture remains steady. Steadiness is strength. You are not controlling life. You are cooperating with truth. This cooperation allows your energy to flow toward what matters instead of being drained by what does not. There will still be days when disorder tries to return. Old habits may resurface. Old thoughts may knock. This does not undo your progress. It simply reminds you to return to what grounds you. Order is not maintained through force. It is maintained through attention. Each time you choose presence over panic, order deepens. Each time you choose honesty over avoidance, order strengthens. Each time you choose rest over relentless striving, order settles more firmly. You are learning how to live this way. As your life reflects inner order, you may notice something else. Gratitude becomes easier. Not because everything is perfect, but because you can see clearly. Clarity reveals what is working. It highlights what is growing. It allows you to appreciate progress without dismissing challenges. This balance is rare, and it is precious. I am not changing who you are. I am revealing who you have always been beneath the noise. Order was always possible for you. It simply required awareness, patience, and willingness. You have been willing. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part has been preparing you for this stage, where alignment becomes lived experience, not just understanding. What comes next will help you protect this inner order when life demands more of you. And if these words have helped you feel steadier, clearer, or more at peace, if you feel supported by this guidance, then allow others to find it as well. Like this message, subscribe to the channel, and join this community so you can continue this journey together. And if you feel genuinely happy and encouraged by these words, you may offer super thanks as a way of supporting this work, only if it feels right to you. If you recognize that your life is beginning to reflect the order forming within you, type order and let it mark this quiet but powerful shift. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as inner order becomes a steady foundation for your days. My child, stay with me here. Do not rush past this truth. What I am speaking now will settle something deep within you. There comes a moment when strength changes its expression. It no longer needs to announce itself. It no longer needs to defend its position. It no longer needs to endure silently just to be seen as capable. You are entering that moment now. For much of your life, you believed strength meant pushing through, holding it together, not needing help, not showing uncertainty. You learned to stay composed even when your inner world felt unsteady. Others may have praised that strength. They may have relied on it, but it cost you more than you admitted. That season taught you resilience. But resilience alone is not the final form of strength. True strength does not come from how much you can carry. It comes from knowing what you are not meant to carry anymore. It comes from discernment, not endurance. It comes from choosing alignment over approval. You are learning this now. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to explain your decisions. You do not rush to justify your boundaries. You do not feel compelled to show how much you can handle. This is not indifference. It is confidence rooted in clarity. Strength that is secure does not seek validation. You have nothing left to prove, not because you have achieved everything, but because you have accepted who you are becoming. You are no longer trying to outrun your limitations. You are respecting them, and in that respect, strength becomes sustainable. I know this shift may feel unfamiliar. You were taught that worth was demonstrated through effort, sacrifice, and endurance. But endurance without wisdom leads to depletion. Wisdom teaches you when to stand firm and when to step back. Stepping back is not weakness. It is strategy guided by truth. You may feel moments when old instincts rise, an urge to overcommit, to take responsibility for things that are not yours, to fix what is not yours to fix. When that happens, pause. Notice the impulse, then choose differently. Choosing differently is strength in action. You are no longer reacting from fear of being seen as insufficient. You are responding from clarity about what aligns with your purpose. That clarity protects your energy and preserves your peace. Peace is not passivity. Peace is power under control. As your strength settles, you may notice that conflict affects you less, not because you avoid it, but because you do not internalize it. You understand that disagreement does not define you. You recognize that others' reactions are often reflections of their own inner state. This understanding frees you. You no longer need to win every conversation. You no longer need to correct every misunderstanding. You no longer need to carry the weight of others' expectations. You engage when it matters. You disengage when it doesn't. This is discernment shaping your strength. You may also notice that rest feels less guilty now. You no longer equate rest with laziness. You see it as restoration. You understand that strength requires renewal. You give yourself permission to pause without self-criticism. That permission is powerful. I am not making you softer. I am making you steadier. Steady strength lasts longer than forced toughness. It adapts without breaking. It listens without losing direction. There will still be moments when life demands effort. Strength does not eliminate effort. It directs it wisely. You will know where to invest your energy and where to conserve it. You will recognize when to speak and when silence is stronger. Silence can be strength. You may notice that others respond differently to you now. Some will feel reassured by your calm presence. Others may feel unsettled by your refusal to overextend. Both reactions are natural. Neither requires you to change. You are not responsible for how others interpret your strength. You are responsible for staying aligned with truth. As you continue, you will feel less pressure to perform and more freedom to be present. Presence allows you to respond with integrity rather than impulse. Integrity keeps your strength grounded. Grounded strength does not rush. It does not panic. It does not abandon itself to please others. This is the strength you are learning to live with. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is guiding you toward a way of living where your strength supports you rather than drains you. What comes next will help you understand how to remain strong without becoming rigid and compassionate without losing yourself. If something within you recognizes that your strength no longer needs to prove itself, type steady and let it mark this quiet confidence forming within you. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as your strength settles into its truest, most peaceful form. My child, stay with me. Let your breathing slow as you listen. What I am speaking now is about your pace, not your destination. There comes a moment when you realize that moving faster did not make you feel more alive. It only made you more tired. You learned how to hurry efficiently, how to keep momentum, how to meet deadlines and expectations. And yet, even when you arrived, something inside you still felt unsettled. You are beginning to understand why. Rushing the body is easy. Rushing the soul is costly. For a long time, you mistook urgency for purpose. You believed that if you slowed down, you would fall behind. You feared that pausing meant missing out. So you learned to move quickly even when your inner world needed time to catch up. You told yourself you would rest later, feel later, reflect later. Later kept moving. I am teaching you now that movement guided by truth has a different rhythm. It does not push. It does not panic. It does not demand that you abandon yourself to keep up. It moves when it is time, and it rests when it is wise. This rhythm is alignment. You may notice that you are less willing to rush decisions. You want space to consider. You want time to listen. You want to feel settled before you commit. This is not hesitation. It is discernment, choosing depth over speed. Speed impresses. Depth sustains. You have learned through experience that rushed choices often require repair. They create cleanup, explanations, and regret. Measured choices may take longer, but they carry peace with them. Peace is not wasted time. Peace is direction without strain. My child, your life is not a race. Your growth is not a competition. Your worth is not measured by how quickly you move. When you stop rushing your soul, you begin to notice what has been asking for your attention quietly. Emotions you postponed, questions you avoided, desires you minimized. None of these surface to overwhelm you. They surface to be acknowledged and integrated. Integration takes time. You may feel moments of impatience as you slow your inner pace. Your mind may urge you to hurry, to finalize, to decide quickly. That urge often comes from fear. Fear of uncertainty, fear of being left behind, fear of not doing enough. Fear rushes. Truth steadies. As you practice moving without rushing, you will discover that clarity arrives more naturally. You hear guidance more clearly. You recognize when to act and when to wait. Waiting no longer feels like stagnation. It feels like preparation. Preparation is active, even when it is quiet. You are learning to trust that what is meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to obtain it. Opportunities aligned with truth do not demand haste. They invite readiness. Readiness grows when you honor your pace. You may notice that your days feel different now. There is more space between moments, more awareness in transitions, more presence in simple actions. This does not mean you are doing less. It means you are doing what you do with intention. Intention transforms effort into meaning. There will still be times when life asks you to move quickly. Speed has its place. But now, speed will be chosen, not imposed. You will know when urgency is appropriate and when it is unnecessary. This discernment protects your energy. Energy spent wisely multiplies. Energy spent rushing depletes. I am not asking you to withdraw from ambition. I am asking you to align ambition with wisdom. Ambition guided by truth builds steadily. Ambition driven by fear burns out. You are learning the difference. As you slow your soul's pace, you may notice that anxiety loosens its grip. Anxiety thrives on rushing. It feeds on imagined futures and unresolved pasts. Presence interrupts that cycle. Presence brings you back to what is real now. Now is where peace lives. You do not need to arrive all at once. You do not need to have everything figured out before you take the next step. You only need to move honestly at the pace your clarity allows. This is sustainable growth. There may be voices around you that misunderstand your slower pace. They may interpret it as hesitation or lack of drive. Let them misunderstand. Your pace is not for performance. It is for alignment. Alignment keeps you whole. You will find that when you move without rushing your soul, you make fewer apologies. You correct less often. You feel less pulled in conflicting directions. Decisions feel cleaner. Responses feel calmer. This is not accidental. This is practiced awareness. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is helping you learn how to live fully without living frantically. What comes next will help you understand how to keep this rhythm when life tries to pull you back into urgency. If something within you feels ready to move forward without rushing, type pace and let it mark your commitment to honor your inner rhythm. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as you learn that the right pace carries peace with it. My child, stay with me in this moment. Do not resist what you feel as you listen. What I am about to speak will bring relief if you allow it. There comes a time when the greatest exhaustion is not caused by what you are carrying, but by what you are resisting. You have been trying to move faster than the season you are in. You have been measuring yourself against expectations that do not belong to this moment. You have been fighting the pace, the uncertainty, the incompleteness of where you are. And that fight has been costing you peace. I want you to hear this clearly now. Every season has a purpose, even the ones you would not have chosen, especially those. Growth does not only happen in forward motion. Growth also happens in waiting, in adjusting, in learning how to remain present when outcomes are not yet visible. You are in such a season now. This season is not a mistake. It is not a delay meant to punish you. It is not proof that you did something wrong. It is a season of formation. Formation is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not produce immediate results. It shapes you beneath the surface while you wonder if anything is happening at all. But something is happening, something important. You have been asking why progress feels slower, why clarity feels partial, why answers come in pieces instead of all at once. My child, this is how depth is formed. Depth is not rushed. Depth is built through patience and presence. You may feel tempted to escape this season, to distract yourself, to force change, to compare your life to others who seem further ahead. But comparison blinds you to what this season is giving you. This season is teaching you endurance without anxiety. It is teaching you trust without certainty. It is teaching you faithfulness without immediate reward. These lessons cannot be learned quickly. You have been trying to make this season into something it is not. You wanted it to feel productive in obvious ways. You wanted signs, confirmation, momentum. Instead, you were given stillness, reflection, and space. That space is intentional. In this space, you are learning who you are without constant movement. You are learning what remains when noise fades. You are learning what truly matters when urgency loosens its grip. Do not rush past this learning. You are not behind because things feel slow. You are becoming rooted. Roots grow in darkness, not in applause. They grow quietly, steadily, unseen. But when the time comes, they support growth that lasts. I know you have questioned yourself in this season, wondered if you lost momentum, wondered if you missed your moment, wondered if waiting meant failing. Those thoughts are understandable, but they are not true. Waiting is not wasted time when you remain present. Presence transforms waiting into preparation. You may notice that this season has asked you to face things you avoided before, emotions you postponed, patterns you ignored, truths you softened. This is not regression. It is healing, moving deeper. Healing often feels slower than progress, but it creates stronger foundations. If you keep fighting this season, you will remain tired. If you accept it, you will find rest within it. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means cooperation with what is being shaped. You are allowed to want more while honoring where you are. Honor does not mean you stop dreaming. It means you stop shaming yourself for not being there yet. It means you stop pressuring yourself to perform growth instead of living it. This season is not asking you to prove anything. It is asking you to remain attentive, remain honest, remain willing. That willingness is enough. You may not see the full picture yet. You may not understand how this season connects to what comes next. But clarity will come. And when it does, you will recognize that what felt slow was actually precise. Precision takes time. I am not withholding progress from you. I am aligning you for what is coming. What is ahead will require the steadiness you are learning now. It will require the patience you are developing. It will require the trust you are practicing. Do not despise this season. It is preparing you in ways you will later be grateful for. You are not stuck. You are not stagnant. You are becoming stable. There will be a time to move quickly again. There will be a time when momentum returns. But if you rush out of this season, you will carry unrest into the next one. If you remain present now, you will carry peace forward. Peace is transferable when it is learned deeply. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part is helping you understand how to live aligned, not only when life is clear, but when it is still unfolding. What comes next will help you recognize when this season begins to shift and how to move when it does. If something in your heart feels relieved by the truth that you don't have to fight this season, type ACCEPT and let it mark a quiet surrender to the work being done within you. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you, even here where growth is quiet and becoming is slow. My child, stay with me a little longer. Let these words settle gently without urgency. What I am speaking now is meant to correct a misunderstanding that has followed you quietly. There comes a moment when you begin to see that what you once called delay was never delay at all. It was preparation. It was positioning. It was a careful, intentional shaping of your inner life, so that what comes next would not overwhelm you. You have often wondered why things did not move when you expected them to, why doors seemed slow to open, why answers came gradually instead of all at once. In those moments, you questioned yourself. You questioned timing. You questioned whether you had missed something. But hear me clearly now, my child. Nothing has been wasted. What you thought was being held back was actually being built up. What felt like waiting was strengthening your capacity. What seemed like silence was forming discernment. Preparation does not always feel productive, but it is purposeful. You have been learning how to listen before acting, how to steady yourself before moving, how to remain present without needing immediate results. These lessons were not random. They were necessary. What is ahead of you requires more than enthusiasm. It requires stability. It requires wisdom. It requires a heart that knows how to remain grounded when momentum returns. You are being prepared for that. You may have felt frustration when progress appeared uneven. You may have felt discouraged when others seemed to move faster. But speed without preparation creates strain. Movement without grounding leads to exhaustion. I am not interested in rushing you into something you are not ready to sustain. You are learning to carry clarity without pressure. You are learning to hold responsibility without losing peace. You are learning to move forward without abandoning yourself. These are not small achievements. They are foundational. Foundations are built slowly so that what stands upon them lasts. You may not yet see how everything you've been learning connects. That is because preparation often makes sense only in hindsight. When the time comes, you will recognize how each pause, each adjustment, each moment of reflection contributed to your readiness. Readiness is quiet confidence. You are not unmotivated. You are not falling behind. You are becoming equipped. There is a difference. You have been shedding habits that once helped you survive but would have hindered you later. You have been releasing patterns that would have conflicted with what is coming. You have been refining your discernment so that when opportunity arrives, you recognize it clearly. Recognition matters more than access. Many people are given opportunities they are not prepared to recognize. They rush in driven by excitement, only to find themselves overwhelmed. You are being prepared so that when you step forward, you do so with clarity rather than confusion. This is protection. You may still feel moments of doubt. You may still question timing. Doubt does not cancel preparation. It simply reminds you that growth is happening beyond what you can measure. You do not need to see everything forming to trust that something is forming. You have already noticed changes within yourself. You respond differently. You pause more easily. You choose with greater care. You are less reactive, less frantic, less driven by urgency. These are signs of readiness, not stagnation. Stillness has strengthened you. I am not asking you to stop desiring movement. Desire is not wrong. Desire reminds you that you are alive and growing. I am asking you to stop interpreting preparation as punishment. Preparation is favor. It means you are being entrusted with something that requires maturity. It means timing matters. It means alignment is more important than speed. You have been asking for peace that lasts, not excitement that fades. Peace requires preparation. Stability requires formation. You cannot rush these things without cost. The cost would have been greater if you had moved sooner. One day, you will look back and understand why things unfolded this way. You will see how every moment of waiting strengthened you. You will recognize how every delay protected you. You will be grateful for the pace that once frustrated you. Perspective changes everything. Until then, remain present. Continue listening. Continue choosing alignment over impatience. Preparation is still happening, even on days when nothing seems to move. Nothing about this season is accidental. Stay with this series, my child. Watch until the end. Each part has been guiding you toward this understanding that your life is unfolding with intention, even when progress feels invisible. What comes next will bring closure, clarity, and direction as everything you've been learning begins to converge. If something in your heart recognizes that you are being prepared rather than delayed, type ready and let it mark your trust in the timing shaping you. I am with you, and I will continue to guide you as preparation quietly becomes fulfillment. My child, stay with me until the end of this moment. Do not rush past what is being completed. What I am speaking now is not an ending, but a beginning lived with clarity. You have walked through many layers to arrive here. Awareness, honesty, stillness, alignment, trust. None of these came to you accidentally. They were formed as you chose to listen rather than ignore, to slow down rather than rush, to face truth rather than hide from it. Now you stand at a place where forward movement no longer feels frantic. It feels grounded. There comes a time when stepping forward no longer requires force. You are not pushing against fear. You are not dragging uncertainty with you. You are not proving anything to anyone. You are simply moving because it is time. That is where you are now. You may still feel questions. You may not see the entire path ahead, but something has changed within you. You no longer confuse uncertainty with danger. You no longer mistake quiet for absence. You understand now that not knowing everything does not mean you are unprepared. You are ready because you are present. For a long time you thought readiness meant confidence without doubt. But true readiness includes humility. It includes awareness of your limits and trust beyond them. It includes the courage to move while staying connected to what grounds you. You have learned that you do not walk alone. Even in moments when you felt unsure, you were being guided. Even when you felt behind, you were being shaped. Even when you felt tired, strength was forming quietly beneath the surface. Nothing you experienced was wasted. Everything has been converging. You may notice now that fear does not lead your decisions the way it once did. It still speaks, but it no longer commands. You listen, you acknowledge, and then you choose from truth rather than impulse. That is maturity. Maturity does not eliminate emotion. It places emotion in context. As you step forward, life will still bring challenges. Alignment does not remove difficulty. It changes how you meet it. You will respond with clarity instead of panic, with discernment instead of reaction, with steadiness instead of strain. You are no longer asking, "Am I enough?" You are asking, "Is this aligned?" That question will guide you well. You have learned to trust the quiet confirmation within you. You have learned to pause when something feels misaligned. You have learned that rest is not retreat and waiting is not failure. These lessons will travel with you into what comes next. And what comes next will ask you to use them. You may feel a mix of anticipation and calm, excitement without urgency, hope without pressure. This balance is not accidental. It is the result of everything you have practiced. You are stepping forward whole. Whole does not mean perfect. Whole means integrated. Your past no longer pulls you backward. Your future no longer rushes you forward. You are standing in the present with awareness, ready to move as guidance unfolds. This is how peace becomes sustainable. You will notice that you attract different experiences now. Conversations deepen, opportunities align more naturally, decisions feel cleaner. This is not because life changed overnight. It is because you did. Change within always precedes change around. I am not sending you forward without support. I am not asking you to carry this alone. Guidance continues as long as you remain attentive. Truth continues to speak as long as you remain willing to listen. You are not being released. You are being entrusted. Entrusted with discernment. Entrusted with clarity. Entrusted with the ability to choose wisely. That trust is not fragile. It is resilient. It will grow as you continue to honor what you have learned. When you stumble, you will recover more quickly. When you doubt, you will return to stillness. When you are unsure, you will listen before acting. This is the life you are learning to live. As this series reaches its close, remember this. You do not need to rush to the next thing. You do not need to force outcomes. You do not need to compare your path to anyone else's. Your journey is unfolding with intention. Carry what you have learned forward. Carry awareness into your choices. Carry patience into your waiting. Carry trust into your movement. And know this above all else, you are not alone in what comes next. Guidance does not end here. It continues wherever you choose to walk in truth. If these words have helped you feel steadier, clearer, and more hopeful, if you feel supported and strengthened, then allow others to find this guidance too. Like this message, subscribe to the channel, and join this community so you can continue growing together. And if you feel genuinely happy, encouraged, or uplifted by these words, you may offer super thanks as a way of supporting this work, only if it feels right to you. And now, my child, if you are ready to step forward with trust, awareness, and peace, type forward and let it mark this moment of quiet confidence. I am with you, always guiding, always present,